Okay, a couple of notes from Rhule's press conference. Rhule did say after the tragic events of yesterday and today being 9/11 that he wants guys to call the people they love. And I will admit, in general, it made me think about the people that I love more as well, including today being 9/11 plus the tragic events of yesterday. Now, he said the team responded well to what he said last week, and he believes that we are building a killer instinct. Now, on having one portal window, now he said, and I quote, "Thank goodness," end quote. Can you imagine how much easier his life just got? Like, I'm excited because we're going to get spring games again. And I do believe we're going to get like inter squad practices, and that's going to be awesome. I don't know if it'll be this spring, maybe, but like maybe 2 springs from now. I'm just happy to have a spring game again this year. Just don't make a 2-hand touch, please. All right. And so he said, thank goodness on one portal window. There's some sanity potentially coming back to college football. I've said the light at the end of the tunnel is there. I just don't know how long that tunnel is before we get to the light, but it is coming, ladies and gentlemen. And it appears we have a chance of it coming sooner, potentially, rather than later. I have to do a better job at getting to the quarterback on defense. Like in his halftime speech, he brought up, if we have a group that doesn't hit the quarterback, get me a new group out there. This is clearly at the top of his radar list right now. All right. Says their recovery staff is so good that players who transferred have called and asked for advice. I'm sorry. And I'm sure they're helping him out. I'm sorry. But if I transfer away, I'm not calling back and asking for advice. Maybe that's just the arrogant jerk in me and the pride bubbling up, but I ain't doing that. I'm going to sit there with bruises and I'm going to be sore with half-torn muscles before I call the people I left and ask for advice. Would you do that, Jake?
James
Williams. Do you think James Williams called? James Williams called him up?
It could be.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I get it from your side, like you're saying, and you might have to be pretty desperate to try to get that. But I mean, that does speak to a high volume. Like you said, it's like a personal. You kind of have to let your pride down a little bit to make that call. But again, that tells you what good an impression they're leaving on folks. And remember, people transfer for different reasons. It's not always bad blood in between anybody or anything.
I actually think as far as people transferring, Rhule does as well as anybody is maintaining a good relationship, in all honesty. I'm curious. Was James Williams one of them? I'd like to know. I'm just saying. All right. And then he said Malcolm Hartzog is questionable for the game this weekend. Okay. Any takeaways from your end on that brief press conference he had today?
It is interesting with Hartzog. Obviously not a big game, but one of our heroes from early on in the season, to kind of see who would plug in and be in that spot.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's just get right. Let's get healthy. Let's get ready for Michigan. Some other guys. I mean, Hartzog has played like 1 million snaps. I mean, he started all the way back halfway through his freshman season. So this is a guy with plenty of experience. Let's get him healthy. And let's get some other guys some experience and build a little bit of depth there. Hopefully he's back for the Michigan game too. So
and Jameer Khan's listed as the backup for him, but obviously, Donnie Marshall got a black shirt. I'm just interested in who they'll run out there.
That is interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. Jameer Khan was the highest graded DB, by the way, in last weekend's game. I don't know if you mentioned that or not. But.
I don't think so.
All right, let's get into, and I quote, "There's really no excuse for us not playing at a high level," end quote, Dylan Raiola. When you hear that, do you think, well, he's saying what he's supposed to say? Do you get excited? Do you not care? How much stock do you put into that? Because if you watch the actual clip, it wasn't a passing comment. Like sometimes a passing comment, you take that part out, you use that quote, and by itself, it comes across a whole lot different than if you watch the clip where it's a passing comment. No, like he spent there was actually a little bit of stuttering, not like stutter, but just like this was something he thought about at least for a second or two before he said it. Like this stood out to me a little bit, not just the words, but how he actually said it. What's your reaction to this? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I love it because it continues to kind of show the kind of player-led movement that Matt Rhule wants in year 3, right? To hold each other to a high accountability, because there are, some reasons if you're a competitor, it is what it is. There's 11 guys out there. There's probably a few guys that are ahead of where other guys are, right? So, I mean, you could, if you really wanted to, you could find some reasons why it might not always played up to the highest level that they did, like against Akron. But again, it's just kind of to me, that's the captain of the team, the quarterback of the team, holding his the accountability of the team high, and they've talked about that all offseason so far. I think we've seen it.
Honestly, I agree with you. I don't have a whole lot to add. I just really liked it because I truly, like, you know me. If I hear something and I'm like, I'll say it. And I'm not always right, but I've been in a million meeting rooms, team meetings, coaches meetings, meetings with players. And sometimes things strike me a little bit differently. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. And if I'm like, I don't know about that, I'll say it. And if something hits me, like, that's real. Rhule's halftime speech, I loved it. It felt real authentic. And in the moment, he was legit pissed. Like, we're not playing good enough. That's how you avoid the lull, by the way, that happened versus Northern Iowa going into Illinois last year. Remember that Northern Iowa game? We didn't play that great. It was not, like, it was like 34-3. But it was not a curb stomping like it should have been, with all due respect to Northern Iowa. And that was the point the Rhule was making. And I think it's truly taking hold with the players. It's not about the scoreboard. It's about what the tape says. Because that's what Rhule said in his halftime speech. I don't care about the scoreboard. I care what the tape says. Well, if you have great tape, that scoreboard is going to follow. And it shows me, like, this felt like an authentic moment, a real moment of a culture shift. And people are scared to talk about culture now because it didn't work under Frost. Okay. But a true culture shift starting with the quarterback. So I genuinely like that.